All right, let's jump straight into this. If you've been watching international football recently, you've probably felt it, right? There's a massive shift happening on the pitch. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the blueprint of a rising global football powerhouse. We are not just talking about a decent team having a lucky run. No, we're looking at a masterclass in tactical evolution, discipline, and execution. We are examining the precise, calculated architecture of Japan's national football team.
Okay, let's look at the agenda. We'll start with their 100-year plan, explore their elite European front, and then unpack a really fascinating tactical debate. After that, we'll dive into Moriyasu-Ball, their massive mental transformation, and finally, their ultimate target, the 2026 World Cup.
Section 1. The 100-Year Plan Summit.
Let's start with the absolute foundation, because Japan's current success on the global stage, it's not a product of luck. It's really not. It's not just a sudden golden generation that magically sprang up out of nowhere. It is a total masterpiece of long-term vision. To truly grasp the future of global football, we have to pause and look at this timeline. Decades ago, the Japan Football Association launched this incredibly ambitious, almost unbelievable plan. See, in modern football, especially with the traditional giants in Europe or South America, dominance is usually built on massive, century-old financial infrastructure. And for everyone else, it's incredibly easy to just rely on the lottery of chance-based talent. You know how it goes. A country gets lucky, produces 3 world-class attackers, rides that wave for a decade, and then completely fades away when they retire. Japan is officially, systematically replacing that model. They are proving that generational, systemic patience can actively level the playing field against those historic giants. Just look at this progression. From the plan's launch to those massive milestone victories against former world champions in 2022, right through to their absolute, unquestionable dominance in the current Asian qualifiers, and the anticipated peak of this entire systemic mountain, 2026.
So what exactly is this blueprint? The 100-Year Plan is essentially the JFA's methodology to create a high-precision, tactically mature machine. But how does a theoretical boardroom idea actually translate to the grass? Well, it translates into a team that plays with just an unparalleled football IQ. We're talking about one-touch pass sequences that leave opposing midfielders literally chasing shadows. It manifests in what are arguably the fastest defense-to-offense transitions in the modern game right now. They operate way less like a traditional group of 11 guys and a lot more like a synchronized hive mind.
Section 2. The European Front. Elite Stars.
Let's see how this actually builds on the pitch, because the system is really only as good as the structural pillars holding it up. What's fundamentally different about this specific generation is that they aren't relying on domestic development anymore. Think about this. The expected starting 11 for 2026 all play in Europe's big 5 leagues. Every single one of them. They've built an army of elite professionals. Germany's Bundesliga, for instance, has basically become a second home for Japanese talent. Guys like Ritsu Doan at Freiburg and Koa Itakura at Gladbach, they aren't just making up the numbers. They are absorbing and mastering world-class tactical discipline every single week. Doan brings this relentless pressing and tactical intelligence, while Itakura provides incredible composure playing out from the back against the highest intensity presses in the world. And this specific Bundesliga connection, it's exactly what allows Japan to seamlessly shift mid-game from a 4-3-3 to a 3-4-3 formation without missing a single beat. It's just absolute plug-and-play at the highest possible level.
And then you look over to Spain, and you find Takefusa Kubo. He has completely blossomed into Real Sociedad's creative spark, but his individual story goes way deeper than that. Kubo actually spent his formative youth years in Barcelona's famed La Masia Academy, and you can see that deeply ingrained education every single time he touches the ball. He's the creative heart of this Japanese side because he perfectly bridges that distinct, flowing Spanish flair with Japan's trademark precision and work rate. He brings that elite final third decision-making. Simply put, he is the guy who sees the pass that literally no one else on the pitch sees.
But listen, when we talk about totally unique player profiles, we absolutely have to talk about Kaoru Mitoma at Brighton. This is wild. Mitoma literally wrote a university thesis on the art of one-on-one dribbling. Just think about that for a second. He actually strapped GoPros to his teammates' heads to study the exact visual cues and micro-shifts in a defender's center of gravity. And this isn't just some academic theory gathering dust on a shelf somewhere. He took this hyper-scientific approach straight to the English Premier League, arguably the toughest, fastest league on the planet, and used it to absolutely dismantle top-tier fullbacks every single weekend. He took the instinctual street football art of beating a man and turned it into a reproducible academic science. It's brilliant, and it makes him a revolutionary primary weapon for the national team.
Moving on to Section 3, the stress test, a critical debate.
Having so many elite, highly specialized profiles in a single squad naturally leads to a massive tactical summit. And I want you to be an active participant here as we weigh two incredibly contrasting superpowers. I'm going to ask you directly. Do you think Mitoma's dribbling or Wataru Endo's defensive leadership at Liverpool is more critical for Japan?
Let's really dive deep into this juxtaposition because it defines the future of this team. On the left side, you have Wataru Endo. His individual journey is just incredible. He arrives at Liverpool, one of the biggest, most demanding clubs on earth, and turns into an absolute folk hero at Anfield. He proves that a Japanese number 6 can utterly dominate the most relentlessly physical league in the world. He is the anchor. We're talking elite ball winning, unmatched leadership, crucial tactical fouls, and just constantly shielding that backline. Without Endo's engine and intelligence, Japan gets totally overrun in midfield transitions. He's the impenetrable foundation. But then on the right side, you have Mitoma, the spear. Look, in modern international football, tournament games get notoriously tight. Elite teams will park the bus, they'll set up a stubborn low block, and essentially dare you to break them down. And here's the harsh truth. All the possession and defensive solidity in the world mean absolutely nothing if you can't bypass a stacked defense in the 89th minute. Mitoma is the ultimate skeleton key for that exact lock. So we're looking at a major philosophical question for modern football tactics. Does the foundation build the house, or does the spear win the war? Are you prioritizing the player who ensures you never lose, or the player who ensures you always have a way to win? It is a gorgeous tactical debate, and honestly, the fact that Japan possesses both of these weapons simultaneously is what makes them truly terrifying.
Section 4. Moriyasu-Ball, the tactical chameleon.
So, to bind all these incredible, contrasting individual talents into one cohesive unit, you need a master architect. Enter manager Hajime Moriyasu, and the phenomenon we call Moriyasu-Ball. He acts as the tactical mortar for this squad, and his recent evolution is brilliantly illustrated by this number right here, greater than 65% possession. Back in the 2022 World Cup, Moriyasu proved beyond a doubt that he could master a defensive low block and hit massive giants like Germany and Spain with clinical, devastating counterattacks. But fast forward to the 2026 qualifiers, Japan has completely transformed. They are now averaging over 65% possession. They evolved from a reactive, counterpunching team into a totally dominant, possession-heavy force.
They achieved this new dominance by utilizing a box midfield. This tactical shape crowds the center of the pitch, allowing them to completely dictate the tempo of the game. This chameleon-like ability to seamlessly switch between playing the gritty underdog and being the absolute patron of the match makes them a total tactical nightmare. Think about it. If you are an opposing manager, how do you even begin to prepare for a team that can perfectly execute a low block one game and then choke you out with a high possession box midfield the next?
Section 5. The mental transformation.
Now, we need to slow the pace down a bit right here, because we are entering what I believe is the absolute most crucial part of this entire explainer. You can have the 100-year plan, you can have the shiny European stars, you can even have the chameleon tactics, but absolutely none of it brings home a World Cup trophy without this final essential step, the psychological evolution. Before we theorize, let's ground this in hard data. Look at these metrics from their recent qualifying runs. We are seeing historically high expected goals, or XG, combined with conceding less than half a goal per match. Mathematically, they're dominating both ends of the pitch.
But here's the thing. Those numbers are just the symptom. The mental transformation is the root cause. This is a massive conversation about the future of football. For decades, the hardest hurdle for any rising underdog nation, especially those outside of Europe and South America, has been a massive psychological barrier. Historically, emerging nations stepped onto the World Cup stage with a mindset of just being happy to be there. There was this overwhelming tendency to play against the prestige of the opponent's jersey. Players felt intimidated by the weight of a German or Brazilian crest before the referee even blew the starting whistle. But 2022 completely rewired the matrix. Japan didn't just play well, they defeated two former world champions in a single tournament. That permanently shattered their psychological glass ceiling. It completely rewired their national footballing DNA. Today, the Samurai Blue no longer look at the crest on the opposing kit. They step onto the grass, whether it's against a regional rival or a European titan, with the intrinsic, immovable expectation that they are going to win. They know they belong at the absolute summit of the sport. And this shift is monumental because it transcends Japan. It serves as a definitive psychological blueprint for any developing footballing nation across the globe. It officially proves that long-term systemic planning can eventually conquer historical intimidation.
Which leads us to Section 6, the 2026 World Cup target.
This brings us to the penthouse of our architectural blueprint. All of this meticulous planning, the generational talent, the mental fortitude, it is all aimed squarely at one massive target, the 2026 World Cup in North America. The 2026 blueprint is locked in. We're going to see their elite technical superiority rigorously tested against African physicality and South American grit. But here is their absolute trump card, terrifying bench depth. We're talking about players of the highest European caliber, like Daichi Kamada, a proven elite playmaker currently at Crystal Palace, and Kyoga Furuhashi, a relentless goal-scoring machine for Celtic. And they are often starting on the bench. This means Moriyasu can unleash a second unit against tired legs in the 60th minute that is just as technically gifted and dangerous as the starters. It allows Japan to maintain a suffocating 90-minute high-intensity press. They finally have the deep endurance required to survive the grueling knockout stages of a World Cup.
So the crucial takeaway is captured beautifully right here. Japan is no longer a developing football nation. The 100-year plan is bearing major fruit. They are a finished product. They've meticulously combined their trademark Asian discipline with elite European tactical experience. They are primed and ready to shatter that infamous quarterfinal wall that has historically blocked their path.
And that leaves us with this final, massive question to chew on. With the foundation set, the European stars firing on all cylinders, the mental barriers completely shattered, and an academic, highly precise approach to the beautiful game, will 2026 be the year Japan doesn't just break the quarterfinal wall, but actually lifts the ultimate prize? Think about it. The blueprint is there for the whole world to see. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and for sure, keep your eyes on the Samurai Blue.